All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. We're gonna check its local and its city search. Gonna see if it's got BSS, things like that. And we're back here in the GVC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And more about that, pinned video, pinned post, home video, wherever, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So over on the left side here, well, we got FSIC, kind of our graph in white. Over on the left, the highest intent peeps searched on Google, searched on social media, social search for the highest, or for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. So we focus on those peeps. We make our videos about BSS. And wherever on the right, the lowest intent peeps, the only way to reach them is interruption ads via Facebook, Instagram. They ain't searching for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now, and most of them don't even know what boudoir is. So that's what we talk about over on our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. Talk about BLCS, and over there right now, we currently only work with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, so now into BSS, boudoir search sameness. So this when a boudoir photographer has either zero or one slots on page 1 of Google. 0 slots is bad, that's a fast death, that means we're on page 2 or deeper, and we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They are one and done. So we're invisible to approximately 80% of the market if we're on page 2, which means we're going to be dying a fast death. One slot on page 1 is not good enough either, because there's 10 organic slots page 1. So it means there's could be 9 other boudoir photographers. Everyone else has 1 slot. So everyone else looks the same. Everyone else has 1 slot. Buyers simply, approximately 80% of buyers. So we got to click down everyone, every link on page 1. They're never even going to go to page 2 or anything deeper. But for the 10 that are there, they'll contact everyone, get quotes, price shop everyone, negotiate, stall, delay, blah, blah, blah. Just annoying way to run a business dealing with this. Now, 0 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes, one, are market saturation, which basically everyone knows about, people get a new iPhone, new phones, new cameras, new gear. They're throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they now for boudoir. They are, throwing up their website saying that for boudoir, competing with us page 1 on Google search, posting in mom groups now from boudoir. This basically lowers margins for everyone, lowers price for everyone, decreases the probability, that anyone gets any buyers, because it's more sellers, boudoir photographers for the same number of buyers. Makes it harder for every single seller. And there's a big blast of this COVID. Ton of new boudoir photographers entered the market because everyone lost their jobs, had to earn money. Everyone's got a smartphone, super powered camera, so pretty easy kind of to see why that happened. Now, second, actually the biggest thing, which I've seen is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses, is the false belief of page 1 equality. And the false belief of page 1 equality, it's kind of like the automatic belief boudoir photographers have had is that, every boudoir photographer gets 0 slots page 1 on Google. So if your website ranks there, cool. And maybe you had it there and somebody else came and, ranked their website ranked higher on Google page 1, took you down to, push you out to page 2. And boudoir photographers are like, well, yeah, I'm on page 2 now, I guess I gotta hope they delete their website and Google de-indexes them, so then hopefully Google can put me back on page 1. But no, this is 100% a false belief. It's 100% incorrect. And I know this because I myself went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days using our new methodology we developed. So I know Google will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want to put in the effort to acquire. 100%. I know that is true, which makes the false belief of page 1 equality false. Now, we also know that boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer. That's because, if we got 0 slots page 1 on Google, we're only on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of Google searches. Yeah, we're disappearing and fast. Same if we only got 1 slot on page 1, we're still basically invincible, being price shopped to death. We're getting contact form fill outs, but price shopped, people gotta, they gotta save up for it. We know they ain't never buying. And as a result, both these are kind of the signal. Well, BSS, it's the signal. It's what makes us a disappearing boudoir photographer, but BSS itself is the signal that, the check engine light, the warning light that we're a disappearing boudoir photographer, which means our business is on the path itself to disappearing. That's what that means. But we did finally discover a solution. We discovered it because we invented it. So we discovered that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S cubed methodology. And we invented this, and it works exactly as it says, S cubed methodology. Social search saturation. We're saturating social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in our city. So we show up there, it's kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains on the backside, the eastern side in South America. So what happens with that snow is it melts, goes into small streams, small rivers, and eventually across the whole mountain range. It all actually flows to the Amazon River, which is the Amazon River is Google page one. But we got to get our snow up top the mountains first. That's our social search saturation. And so when we rank there, get enough ranking there, then eventually flow onto Google page one. Now, one of the interesting things is this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight back against market saturation and allow a boudoir photographer to grow their business even with more boudoir photographers entering the market every single day in a relatively quick time frame. And the only other solution I've seen that has a few of these properties is to actually have a large, well-known brand. That would definitely persist with market saturation. But dude, that takes like 5 to 10 years. That's not relatively quick. We ain't got time anymore. AI is coming to take more people's jobs every single day. We got to get page one domination, page one visibility ASAP. And so, actually, an interesting thing is my estimate is I believe SQ methodology actually executing it increased the probability of having a large, well-known brand by speeds it up by my estimate is 8x, so 8 times faster to achieve that. And imagine if you got a large, well-known brand and you're using SQ methodology. I mean, you're basically untouchable at that point. Now, for example, if SQ methodology successfully grown a business in spite of more and more market saturation or massive market saturation, imagine, let's say there are 1 million boudoir photographers in Fargo, North Dakota. We're one of them. Everyone's got a boudoir photography website trying to rank page one on Google. You know, there's only 10 organic slots for 1 million boudoir photographers, so ultra competitive. And we don't have enough time to build a brand, so our only hope, our only solution is S cubed methodology. And as a result, you know, we realize, hey man, we gotta crank this up to the max. So we do S cubed methodology, we crank it up to the max, and let's say we're getting like we take over the first 300 slots of social search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. Take up those slots, and when we, as a result, let's say it flows onto Google, and say we're taking the first 300 Google organic slots as well for high intent boudoir buyer search. And what actually happens is Google search is 10 organic slots per page. So dude, we're taking like the first 30 pages of Google. So let's say we do that, and guess what? Anytime any boudoir buyer in our city is searching on social networks or in Google, then what actually happens is we're basically the only one they see across all surfaces. You know, I mean, if they want to find us an organic search result, we're basically the first 300. They got to go page like 31 to basically see any of our competitors. And approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 only searches. Who the heck's going to page 31? So you can see how powerful this is. So obviously in this situation, whose business is growing? Most likely ours. Whose business is stalling, dying, disappearing? You know, the 999,999 other boudoir photographers who are competing, but no searchers can find them. And so this is what the magic of SQ methodology can enable. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we now have page one visibility. Get our initial benefit, more slots page one on Google. Get our second initial benefit is every new slot we get, we actually kick off a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. Now, this is super awesome. A lot of boudoir photographers feel like this is actually their benefit they like the best. Making other boudoir photographers disappear, become disappearing boudoir photographers on page 2, maybe on page 3, you know, and eventually those competitors' businesses disappear. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So this is where the GBC universe recommends hitting 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google search. And that's because basically everyone else will be 1 out of 10 slots, so we're going to be dominating all of them, looking totally different from all the others, really catching buyers' eyes because they're seeing our name so much. And if the off rare chance someone else has 2 slots, page 1 on Google, then we're still dominating them. And finally, we know that boudoir photographer with BSV, boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. This is our micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. But we now have a solution. We can utilize S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, look at my results here utilizing S-cubed methodology for myself. I went to rank for the term BLCS boudoir and take as much page one slots as possible. So let's see the results I got by exclusively using S-cubed methodology. Let's get organic slot one here, Instagram. That's me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. And as a result, I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search in only 10 days, purely utilizing S-cubed methodology. So these are the results that I got. Now here's the main event. We're going to see if this boudoir photography business, the local and the city search, see what's happening for BSS, boudoir search sameness, see if it's in the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. All right, so we're going to LaPorte, Texas, and Houston. All right, LaPorte, Texas. All right, let's see. All right, going to the organics. All right, see what we got here. All right, boom, we got 1. Boom, we got 2. All right, so we've passed the BSS threshold. We do not have BSS. Boom, we got 3. All right, we've hit the GBC recommended minimum. Boom, we got 4. And all right, we got 4 out of 10 for local search. Good. So we don't have any BSS. We do not have, and we are hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to see. All right, now I'm gonna check here. Houston, Texas. All right, let's see what we got. Nope, nope, nope. No, all right, we are not. So we are not even showing up. So we're at 0 out of 10. So local search, good. We're dominating that, and do not have BSS. We reached the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 of Google. City search, Houston, we are not ranking at all. We got BSS for that one, and we're not hitting the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 on Google. All right, so if you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, meaning you've done your local search, your local searches, city searches with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in your city, and you got 0-1 slots for any of them, at least one of them, or you're not reaching the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search for at least one of them, and you've accepted the false belief of page 1 equality is exactly that, a false belief. So we can actually take as many slots on page 1 Google search as we want. Then, well, Andrew saying S-cubed methodology is the only solution to give you those slots, and it's actually something you've been waiting for. And you're loving the initial benefits, more slots, page 1 Google search, kicking competing boudoir photographers off page 1 Google search, relegating them to page 2 or page 3 or deeper, and never actually having to kind of deal with them as competitors anymore, making them disappear to approximately 80% of Google searches, so approximately 80% of the market. And you understand the market saturation, yeah, more peeps buy new gear eventually become boudoir photographers, yeah, they kind of trickle in over time. But you're looking ahead and you're seeing, okay, AI is taking peeps jobs right now, and AI is definitely going to get better and better, so it's going to take more and more peeps jobs over time. And you understand, last time that happened, lots of peeps lost their job. COVID, massive wave of boudoir photographers came into the marketplace. They're like, uh-oh, massive market saturation's coming, and you're realizing you actually need to fortify your position on page 1, which means have so many links that Google wants to rank on page 1 that there's not enough space to rank them all. So you're actually link stuffing page 2, 3, 4 onward, and basically guarantee no current boudoir photographer can get onto page 1, and basically no future boudoir photographer that comes after AI takes their job can ever get onto page 1. And you're saying, well, how to get that many links? So you're saying, oh, S-cubed methodology, that's the only solution. I can give you that fortification. And you're also understanding that when we successfully execute S-cubed methodology every single day, we're actually creating we're actually creating like these invisible thematic keyword columns that are plugging into our brand, like kind of 360 degrees around our brand. And these are building up back-end keyword AI mindshare for the AI systems, AI searchers out there. And so every day we do this, successfully execute methodology, we're actually increasing the probability that we show up here in AI overview. The most premium placement, we cannot purchase this. And so that's a future benefit of execute methodology. Another future benefit of execute methodology is we are actually higher probability that we show up in AI search. So ChatGPT search, Claude, Perplexity, Google, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. And this is huge. Increasing its probability every single day is huge because more and more people use an AI search every single day. Last time I did AI search for boudoir photographer in the city, I actually looked and it recommended me 3. So I went to look manually on Google and Facebook. Hey, how many boudoir photographers are actually in the city? Dude, there's like 60. So if AI is only recommended 3, we gotta get there. We gotta have so much back end AI keyword mindshare momentum that AI has to give recommend those positions to us. And you're also like the fact that my current plan is to work with only one boudoir photographer per city. So you're like, and yeah, you can get all these benefits, but also you can prevent your competitors from getting all these benefits, allowing you to build up a massive like AI mindshare gap, back-end AI keyword mindshare gap for the increased probability of recommended through AI overview and recommended through AI search. And you can actually deny your competitors getting that. So basically, you're able to build up a massive gap between you and your competitors, and basically make it so big that current competing boudoir photographers can never achieve it, or reach it, and future boudoir photographers can never that come in after AI takes their jobs can never catch you. So you decide you're a first mover on this. You can't miss out, and you actually want you're thinking conversely, if one of your competitors were to get on the sign up with me first, you would actually lose out on all the benefits. Your competitor would begin all these links page 1. I have so many links page 1, there'd actually be overflowing to the future page 2, 3, 4. You would be relegated to page 2 or deeper, and we would obviously have the goal of making you have no chance to ever get to page 1. And then we'd be building a massive keyword, back-end AI keyword, kind of momentum, mindshare to get recommended AI overview, Google search, and with all the AI search apps. And for you to compete, you'd actually have to go rederive S-cubed methodology on your own, and you'd never have any idea if you've derived it. Well, you'd have to drive it for first time for yourself. You'd never know if you successfully 100% derived it correctly. And then you'd have to equal our execution every single day. And if you did that, you'd simply be maintaining the gap that we've already massively built ahead of you. And then once that happens, you would actually have to 2 to 3x our execution every single day to start closing that gap and pulling that back-end AI mindshare away from me and your competitor's brand back towards you. But since you're not even 100% confident you've derived it correctly in the first place, it's hard to put in that much effort, something you're not confident in. And when you actually think about it, you're like, dude, who's got 80 hours per day to do all this stuff? So you decide, screw that. You're actually going to be the first mover in your city, get all these benefits. So if that's you, shoot us a DM. Our DMs are currently closed. The hospital is currently closed for new patient intake, but when we do open our DMs for new patient intake, shoot us a DM and we will see if you qualify.